Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is John and I'm a network engineer based in Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm really happy and smiling a lot today because I just passed my module 4 Danish exam and now I'm moving on to the final and hardest module, module 5. I'm so happy. Anyways, my apologies for the silence. It's been a really tough time at work with the ongoing project and apparently I don't really have approval to film at the clinics, so I took down my last video. If you noticed, it was doing so well. It was at 18K. Thank you all so much for the likes and comments, much appreciated, and I hope I can get the same on this video. The goal for today, I just want to talk about some of the basic skills with regards to network devices that a network engineer must have if you're going to be working on site. First of which is how to reset a device, how to do iOS, perform iOS upgrades, basic configuration, switch configurations like VLANs, device hardening, DHCP, and then on the router, same thing, iOS upgrades and resetting, disabling controller mode if it's in SD1 or enabling controller mode if it's in SD1, and then we're going to do basic NAT config and connect this router to my 5G to get internet access. I have a Meraki AP here. It's going to just serve as an end host to get an IP address if our configurations are correct. Here with me I have an ISR 1100 series router, super powerful device with a gig WAN links and an inbuilt 4-port switch. Lots of ISPs in Scandinavia seem to love this device, including us, in fact, because of its integrated switch. ISPs love it because you can configure different services. You can configure internet on this port, MPLS on this one, and everything works seamlessly. And then this bad boy here is an 8-port 3560CX catalyst switch.
IM 5 ton.
Shut up, Alexa. 8-port with PoE powered, so that's how this access point is going to get power via this port on this switch. Okay, and that will be the plan for this video. I haven't really perfected what I'm trying to achieve here, but we'll figure it out as we go. Let's go. Okay, first thing we have to do is power up the devices and allow them to boot, as booting can take up to 5 minutes sometimes. After that, we need to get console into the devices, and I do that with my trusty console cable. To get console, we need a terminal emulator. I highly recommend Putty. It's quick, easy, and fast to install or run, let's say. But I already have it installed, so I'm going to use my own installed application. We need a COM port number, and you can find that by going to Device Manager and clicking the ports drop down. You can see one COM port is active. Type in that COM port and log in to the console. The switch is still booting. I took access to the switch because I am very sure the iOS version is old, and as we can see, it's using the 15.2 E9 version. I know we have up to E15, something like that. Anyways, this would you like to enter initial configuration dialog? I'm not sure if anyone in the history of networking has said yes, but the answer is always no. We don't want that. I'm not sure why that's there. Anyways, the switch is still in its unconfigured state. Let's just say it's the configuration has been wiped. All ports are in the default VLAN, which is VLAN 1, and I can see that the boot path is still pointing towards the old iOS image, as it should. So now I need to show you how to install a new iOS version. So I connected my USB stick thinking I had a switch iOS version image, but I didn't. Good for us, because I can show you how to get the switch device iOS images. So I log into software.cisco.com and I go on the software, and then I search for the device family. Under the device family, I pick the model and then click iOS images, and then I download the .bin file. And as you can see, I'm downloading version E12. So I copy this to my USB stick, remove the USB stick and put it into the switch. Once it's in the switch, I copy the image from the USB to the flash using copy USB flash 0 space flash colon. Now I need to say boot system and then flash and then the target iOS image, and as you can see, the boot path list has updated to the new image. The important step now is to save the configuration, and you can do that by using write memory or copy run start. And then you reload the switch and it should reboot with the new upgraded image. So now I log into this router with my second console cable and I follow the same steps to check the COM port. Now I'm in the console of the router. I start with the show version to see the iOS version as well as the operating mode, and as I can see, it's in controller mode. I need to change this back for this lab. At least I need to change this router's operating mode to autonomous. I do this by typing controller mode disable. In controller mode, the commands are different. This mode is typically for SD-WAN. Back on the switch, it's rebooted with the new iOS image E12. So I delete the old iOS images because they are no longer needed, and I free up space on the flash. Okay, now the router has been changed back to autonomous mode so we can put in regular commands. I check my USB stick that is in the router now, and I copy the iOS image 17.9 to the boot flash from the USB directory.
One eternity later.
Okay, once it's done copying, I need to set the boot variable for it to point towards the new iOS image. The boot path, sorry, to the new iOS image. I chose 17.9 because it upgrades the Roman version. The target image is actually 17.12, and I'll need to do one more iOS upgrade. This is the topology of the lab. I'm not sure if this is necessary. I should have just used draw.io because it was difficult to find the things I needed in Packet Tracer. But anyways, I'd like to take this moment to give a quick shout out to NOFAYA for sponsoring this video. They make professional testing tools like this cable tester and wire fault locator. It's super useful for checking cables and troubleshooting in any network setup. NOFAYA builds tools for electricians, telecom techs, network engineers, and I found both of these actually really useful in my work. Big thanks once again to NOFAYA for sending over these tools. One is a wire fault locator and the other one a cable length tester, but don't let the names fool you. The titles are a bit misleading because they pack way more features than you'd expect, and some of these even overlap between the two devices. Let's see what they can do. I'll be testing one of them as both of them do almost the same thing. Okay, let's dive into some of the features of this cable tester tool. It has about 5 different modes. The first of which I'll be testing is the cable test, like the quality check. And for some reason I thought this will show on the screen, but this cable passed the test. The next I'll be testing is the length, and it's reporting the pairs to have 2.3 meters, which is almost accurate. The cables are 2 meters. Now I will go ahead and do the test of the faulty cable. I just cut the blue cable, which should be pair 4 and 5. I just slit the blue cable here, and now we're gonna run it. So this same cable that passed earlier on is failing now, and it detects it on pairs 4 and 5. Last feature I really want to test is this port flash feature, number 4. So if I hit flash, checks, what the hell, oh okay, there we go. I got scared. Okay, and then you should see the port blink every now and then. So this helps locate physical ports on the switch. I absolutely love these products, and these are some of the most useful features for me. The link is in the bio to these products, and you can get a 10% discount if you use code KOLJOHN on checkout. And the default VLAN 1, and I'm going to set up DHCP on the router and set up NAT and connect the router to the internet, and hopefully the end devices, which is my laptop and the AP, pick up an IP address from the defined VLAN and have internet access. That's the goal of this lab. So now I've just connected G000 of the router to the internet, which is my 5G router. And now I'm connecting the trunk link between the router and the switch. Port 10 on the switch, port G010 on the router. I go on the router and I configure the trunk link to begin with, as well as setting a description. Then I configure VLAN 1 as an SVI on the router because we have an inbuilt switch and it needs an SVI, and this is also going to be the inside interface of NAT. And G000 will be the IP NAT outside. With that configured, we can reach the internet from the router. Now I need to extend this connectivity to the switch through VLAN 1. So I move on to the switch and I configure the trunk link also on the switch on G0/10. And then I need to do the same on the switch to set up an SVI on VLAN 1 and configure it as 172.16.1.2. That is configured, and I can ping the internet as well from the switch. The next thing I need to do right now is set up DHCP on the router to give out IP addresses in VLAN 1. The configuration is simple. I exclude the first 10 addresses and define the network and give it a name, pool NOFAYA. Shout out once again to NOFAYA, the sponsors of this video. Now that the DHCP scope has been established, I can connect an end device. As long as I've said no shot on all the relevant interfaces, I realized some of them were administratively down and I don't have recording of doing a no shot, but the switch can reach the internet now through VLAN 1 via the trunk link. So now we are ready to connect end devices, and they should pick up IP addresses from the defined DHCP scope. And thanks to NAT, Network Address Translation, the IP addresses from this DHCP scope should be translated into public IP addresses. Now I'm going to take the AP. Now I have my Meraki device. I'll connect it to the switch. The switch has PoE, which means power will be carried over the internet cable to this device. Only powered devices can pull the switch for power. The light comes on the Meraki switch to confirm that it is indeed receiving power after the negotiations have happened. On my laptop, I double check on my Ethernet adapter and I can see I've picked up the IP address 172.16.1.13, which is obviously not in the excluded scope. and now I check that I have internet access. Yes, I can reach Google's DNS, and the speed test is looking good, so as expected. So in summary, we've configured NAT, DHCP, and trunk links between a router and a switch, as well as iOS upgrades. My laptop is picking up an IP address from VLAN 1 and getting internet through the router. This was a very basic lab for this video. Let me know what I should explore next, and thank you all very much for watching this video. See you on the next one. Until then, take care. Hi.
I surrender.